No problem. It's
Um,
my pleasure.
yes. First, before today, or the purpose of this interview is to know more about how a psychologist like you prevents an individual or a client from committing suicide. So, before we start this interview, as an aspiring psychologist, I want to know what is the most important clinical attitude one must possess so that he or she will become an efficient psychologist.
Thea, you are static. I did not understand your question. The line was pretty bad.
I'll repeat the question now. So, as an aspiring psychologist, what is the most important clinical attitude one must possess so that he or she can be an efficient psychologist in the future?
Okay. Well, probably your professors already informed you guys that a good clinical psychologist or someone who has wanted to become a psychologist, you need to have an empathy. That's the number one. Empathy is the number one characteristics of a good psychologist, because we are here to actually support we call them clients, and give them as much empathetic support as much as we can, and non-judgmental.
Yes, I totally agree, ma'am. Because I really think that being empathic enough to your clients is very important. But I have problems with detachment, so I am really working hard.
Attachment? Did you say attachment?
Yes, and detachment from the client who has the problem.
Oh, okay. Yes, you need to have that boundary. It's very important to have good boundaries with clients.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going to be, you're there to actually support and not give more problems with existing issues already.
So, ma'am, so today we'll be talking about suicide. So, I want to know, what is life for you?
What is life for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, life for me is about being able to help others, be productive, and also live your life to the fullest, and whatever, and reach the success that you wanted to reach, whatever success means to you, whether it be professionally, family-wise, relationships, and whatnot.
So, that is a very wonderful answer, ma'am. It really gives meaning to life more. So, ma'am, so to start this interview, I know that there are a lot of mental disorders that are comorbid with suicide, including depression and anxiety. And I know that you've encountered a lot of it. So, ma'am, how do you know when a certain client wants to commit a suicide? Is there a symptom?
There are actually reasons why people are committing suicide, and according to Dr. Alex Lickerman, he's a medical doctor who wrote something about the reasons why people commit suicide. He actually posts this on Psychology Today. The first thing you already mentioned is when people are depressed. That's a common reason why people are committing suicide, right? And when someone is severely depressed, they have this dark feeling that nothing is helping them out, and the only way to solve their issues or problem is to actually end their lives. The second reason is if someone is psychotic, right? Meaning that person could be schizophrenic and whatnot. So if someone has that, you probably already had that studied already, that psychotic people have that voices, they hear voices,
Yes,
right?
hallucinations.
That the inner voices, we call them malevolent inner voices, that actually telling them to end their lives. And if these are not treated properly, then they will surely end their lives because they're not in their proper minds. Second one is when people are affected with alcohol and drugs. Okay? The fourth one is when someone is crying out for help and they actually don't know other ways to solve their issues. And these are prominent in young people.
Yes.
If you hear those people, the young people like you, your age, like, you know, popping up pills, OD or overdose, and most of them don't really want to die, but they don't have any other means of telling their families, their people that who care about them, that there's something really seriously wrong with them. So it's commonly what Filipinos would call nagpapapansin, or it's just like telling someone.
Yes, ma'am. I am. It's actually called non-self-harm injury, right? NSSI.
Yeah, that could also be self-harming, like, you know, someone cutting and all that. That could be one of the reasons they're crying out for help. Another one is if they have a philosophical desire to die, meaning these are the people who are terminally ill. Have you heard? This is a very controversial issue in America and also here in Australia. Assisted suicide. Have you heard about that?
I haven't. What is that?
Yeah, these are some people who wanted to die or end their lives because they are terminally ill and they're in so much pain.
Oh, like
so
most of killing? Is it like
mercy killing? Yes, it is, and it's a very controversial issue. And the last one is some people are just actually mistaken to commit suicide. Again, and these are prevalent in young people. Just like when someone trying to oxygen deprivation, they actually have no clue. Young people have no clue that they could actually die by just doing oxygen deprivation. And the only way to actually help that is to educate young people and do harm reduction. So I've given you 6 reasons why people commit suicide. One is they are depressed. Second, they are psychotic. Third, they are impulsive when they're under the influence of alcohol and drugs. Fourth, they're crying out for help and they have no other means of presenting that issue to their families. The fifth one is they have a philosophical desire to die. These are terminally ill people, like what you said, mercy killing. And then the last one, they've made a mistake. It's like an accident. Accident to young people who don't know that. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
The oxygen deprivation could actually kill them. So yeah.
I didn't know that it was. There are a lot of reasons why a person wants to kill himself or herself. I didn't know that.
Yeah, those are the main 6 reasons according to Dr. Alex Lickerman. He's a medical doctor in, I believe, in America.
So, ma'am, I want to know, are there symptoms that let you know that someone wants to commit a suicide? Symptoms, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, of course. And everybody should know this. Let's say someone is depressed. What are the main symptoms of depression? The person doesn't want to step out of the house. He just stay in bed day and night, doesn't take showers, and feeling of there's nothing hope for tomorrow, so what's the sense of getting up? Well, psychotic people, they're very expressive. if you see those people, if you see people who are like, oh, sira ulo yan, yung nagtatawa sa sarili and all that, most probably than not, there's schizophrenic. So and the other one is like, for young people, self-harming. Well, they don't really want to die. They're just, it's their way of saying,
Help me.
well, I need help. Yeah, crying for help. So cry out for help.
So ma'am, I want to know now, what are the most common suicidal attempts that you encountered?
OD, overdose.
Overdose.
And for a lot of overdose, and also cutting, and well, some are poisoning, something like that.
So ma'am, the next question is, so you told us earlier, like you mentioned earlier, that most of the teenagers are very impulsive and very stubborn, and they feel that no one can understand them. So they often believe that no one understands them. So instead of attempting suicide like they thought they would be, they commit non-suicidal self-injury, which is self-harm to acquire attention as a form of communication, or as like you said, crying for help. So ma'am, how do you handle this kind of situation? Do you tell them that this is a form of NSSI or not?
A form of what, sorry?
NSSI, or non-suicidal self-injury.
Well, the first thing clinicians would do is assess the client. And if the client needs further treatment, we would refer, if it's related to alcohol and drugs, of course you want the client to go for further treatment, which is, let's say, withdrawal treatment, whether it's residential or non-residential. And it is also beneficial for the client to go for counseling. I'm sorry if I didn't quite understand the question.
I'll repeat it again, ma'am. So, most of us teenagers are, like you said, are impulsive and stubborn. So, they are the ones who are very open to suicide.
Yeah. We need to find out what's going on. Is it relational, right? Is it because they feel like the parents are not giving them the support that they need, or they're not being being misunderstood most of the time? So we need to find the core issue behind that. Self-harming is a way of showing to the people around them that there is seriously something wrong with that person, and that help is much needed. So if I was a parent of a teenager who is self-harming, the first thing I would do is take my child to a professional, to a GP. Then a GP would be able to assess and refer that patient to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And if that patient needed other treatments such as psychopharmacotherapy or counseling or whatever other treatments or resources out there, just to help the patient. But for young folks, most of the time they feel like they're not being misunderstood, and it's a lot of things, especially the Filipino culture. It's totally, and with the generation right now, and just imagine you and your mom, our generation has a total different view about life and as opposed to your generation. So there's a generation gap and misunderstanding there.
Yes, I agree with that, and I can also agree that adolescents today are very impulsive and very open to the act of committing suicide, when in fact they are just, brought up with their emotions. So
I have a question for you. Is there a lot of cases there in the Philippines who are like young people committing suicide or attempting suicide or suicidal ideation or self-harming?
I think, ma'am, there are a lot, but they don't give much attention to it. There are many attempting suicide. Like, I think there are a lot of depressed people here in the Philippines right now that most of them my age, and I can even interact with them sometimes. So it really saddens me to hear about, to know.
Are they open to counseling? Or because I know, well, we both know that Asian people, well, Filipinos are not embracing
Yes, mental health.
counseling, or they don't really, they're close-minded when it comes to mental health.
Yes, that's true.
Anyway, go ahead. Go on.
It's okay, ma'am. So the next is, you know, ma'am, that I am an aspiring psychologist, and one of my biggest fear is that someday a client will come up to me and he or she will tell me that he or she wants to die that instant. So, ma'am, if ever that happens to you, how would you handle that situation?
All right. Well, if that's the case, you need to. If you're working for an agency, you have to follow the protocol of an agency. And if you have a private practice and you have a registration, you need to make sure that you follow the necessary steps. If a client tells you, I wanted to commit suicide, you gotta take that seriously. You need to inform. That's why you get a release of information and consent to treatment. If your patient is underage, you need to make sure that the parents are aware. And if the patient is overage already, over 18 years old and above, you need to make sure that the family members know, and you need to have safety plans. Alright?
Yes.
You need to find out what the reason behind that. And if it's clinical, if it's drug related, or if it's depression, psychotic, like the patient is psychotic and all that, you need to make sure you know. And then you do the proper procedure, like refer the client. If the client is psychotic, most of the time they need to be hospitalized.
Yes.
Until they're already well. If the person is depressed, clinically depressed, obviously you want to refer the client to a GP or psychiatrist who can prescribe medication and make sure that the family members are informed so they could actually keep an eye out on the client.
I agree. So
The first thing you must do is don't panic. If you are in a
Yes.
clinical room, and someone tells you, Thea, I have a suicidal ideation and I wanted to die. First thing you need to do is, number one, do not panic. Because chances are the client won't kill himself or herself in front of you. He's informing you that he has thoughts of suicidal ideation, so you need to follow all the necessary procedures. And don't worry, you're going to know that. You can't be a psychologist or a mental health clinician if you don't know the procedure.
I'm looking forward to learning that procedure, ma'am. Because I get panic whenever someone would. I will get panic if someone would say that to me right now.
No. That's the first thing you need to do. You need to just be yourself and actually, because if you panic, then what's going to happen?
I will cry.
Right? But don't worry about that, because you know those strategies, those techniques and all that. You'll learn that as you go along.
I'm very looking forward to it, ma'am. So, now, before we end this speech, I want to know what does that client need, the suicidal client need most of? As in, wait, let me rephrase that. I want to know, what do you think a suicidal individual needs the most in this vulnerable state?
They need the proper care and treatment plan. So that the question is vague. What they need is a proper care. That means clinical care and also collaborative support from professional support and the family.
Yes.
All right? So you, as an aspiring psychologist or mental health clinician, you have a responsibility of, as we call psychologists say, do no harm. Meaning whatever the presentation of a client is, whether the client is suicidal or under the influence of alcohol and or drugs, what you need to do is make sure that the client's safety.
Yes, ma'am. Client safety.
Yes, the client is safe, and that's why you need to have a safety plan and refer the client to proper professionals in order for the client to actually get the proper help, and you follow up.
Now I know, ma'am. So, to end this interview, ma'am, I want to ask you, if you are, if you have a message to anyone who wants to end their life, what is that?
That there is help out there. If they're thinking that they're not going to be able to surpass that, whatever they're going through is not true. There is help, and in order for help to be given to them, they need to seek it. They need to embrace the help. Otherwise, the government, private sectors, and even professors won't be able to do it.
Yes.
Even individual won't seek help. There is help. And once a client asks for help, you make sure that you give everything that you can in order for that client to get all the necessary support he or she needs. Okay?
So amazing, ma'am. I thank you for, once again, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity, giving me your time to interview you today. I want you to know, ma'am, that I will treasure your teachings, and I think that it will help me a lot as I continue to teach for my dreams. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And thank you. You're very much welcome. And I believe that you will be a good clinician one day.
Yes.
Take your time and do the necessary clinical supervisions and hours that you need.
Yes, ma'am.
Good luck, Thea. How can I pronounce your name? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes, ma'am. Thea, ma'am. It's correct.
Thea.
Yeah.
Thea. You look exactly like your mom.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right then.
I hope to see you soon, ma'am, here in the Philippines.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye po. Thank you po.
Bye-bye.